I bet you're going stir crazy being confined in your home, right? And I bet you didn't know that there's a whole lot of things that you can do with your dogs where you can connect at the heart level. Well, that's the topic of today's show, so stay tuned. Well, good morning, Gaetan.
Hey, good morning, Katie. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Good morning, everyone.
I hope everybody is doing well.
Yeah, we've got a difficult time going on in the world right now. And, one thing that I do know that I really am enjoying is people are uniting more so than they ever have before. I mean,
Absolutely.
we've even got political unity. It's like having a national or a global hurricane or a global earthquake or whatever. It just seems that all these people are coming together that really, really, really touches my heart. So the one thing we thought about was you're at home, you're alone, or you've got your kids, but if you've got your dog, you might not realize that your dog could provide you with some real good therapy. And also, you can have activities that you can do with your dog to not only make them happy, but also to make you happy. So, in order to do that, we've got our favorite person, Roman Gottfried from Holistic Dog Training, and he's going to be telling us and sharing with us the actual processes that we can do to work with our dogs. So please welcome Roman. Hi, Roman.
Hey, Roman.
Hi,
Welcome back.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi.
Yeah. So listen, we're going to start with your presentation, but first off, what is it that you are seeing right now with people with the coronavirus? Are they asking you a lot of questions about their dogs, or what's happening? Your take.
Thank you for the question, and thank you for having me on your show. So there's a general frustration in different levels. It starts with rescues, it starts with shelters, it continues into home with people with multiple people in the house, and homes with multiple dogs in the same house. And dogs unfortunately pick up that frustration, they're sponging that fear that is out there. I had a conversation yesterday. I was joining a meeting with American Pets Alive, and so there was the outreach to get dogs out of the shelter into foster care because people are start surrendering their dogs, and dogs are found stray out there, and there is a need to divert those dogs into foster care. Now, people in foster who could foster have people in the house to take care of because they're sick or ill, and it just I don't want to over dramatize, but I feel like people are too sensitive and too reactive on things instead of putting common sense. So I had the reason why I created this presentation was basically to help people kind of see the joy part of it, and calm down, cool down of those stressors, and not being inclined to go into this drama, but stay out of it. And I know many of my people who I work with are people who are not young anymore. Like, I'm in my 50s and up, people that are very sensitive to stress. And we know also from dogs, stress.
Wait a minute.
You're a baby.
In your 50s? You're in your 50s? You could be my son.
La 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 la
Yes,
la la
you
la
could
la
be
la
my
la.
son.
We have
Yeah.
a baby on the show.
Yeah. Oh, hey, my brother's here. Hi, Ron. I bet Barb's watching too, and I know Joanna's watching. Thanks, you guys.
Great.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, Roman.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking to myself, he's not in his 50s, is he really? But okay.
Yeah, right.
You barely look 49.
Yeah. Well, I watched your presentation the other day in your group, and I thought that's a perfect presentation to use on the show. So I really appreciate you sharing it with us. Why don't we go right into it so that you can tell the folks what your thinking is, of which we value very dearly here.
Thank you. I appreciate. So the reason why I use this presentation is to give you kind of a heads up and a short description what you should look out for when you're working with your dog at your house. And don't see that as self-quarantine only. I would see that stay out of trouble, keep your health up to date, calm down. When you go out shopping, use hand gloves. Not a big deal. You can get your partner's hand gloves from the garage. Don't tell him anything about it. Just wear them, grab your card, shop around, stay away from other people, and just check out and go back home. That's it. That's what I do. Okay. Going into a panic mode doesn't really help. However, there are some people who are confined in the house because they're sick, because the shops are shutting down, because they don't have access to their car, because they don't have access to leave. Some cities and some towns internationally are basically on lockdown, thinking on our friends and colleagues in Italy, and that will be more complicated. So I thought we should look into a couple of things that we can handle the dog and help the dog cope with its stress, and while keeping us as well as out of the stress. So this 14 days self quarantine is just the minimum amount that is required for some situations. But I heard, for example, England we're going up to 24 days, and Italy over a month or so. So
Right.
don't take that as a day. Just take it as different options and versions to keep your dog entertained and enriched in this basically close confinement. So we can move to the next slide, please.
Okay.
Thank you. You
Thanks.
guys are super supporting me here. So again, without over dramatizing, you can read it, but I read it up loud so you guys can hear it for those who are busy doing other stuff meanwhile. So without over dramatizing, we should look into the potential of having her to stay more than 14 days in that case in isolation or in distance, in social, avoidance. And I know some of you guys will say, "Hey, awesome! I'm an introvert anyway. Life is good."
Yeah.
But we also would see that we have fears and anxieties in the background. And so if you look into anxiety causes stress, and stress and anxiety together may cause dogs sometimes to kind of get reactive slash aggressive, with the meaning of the dog doesn't know the way to respond to this kind of stress, that it's invisible out there and you're scared of it, and obviously there must be somewhere out there trying to kill us. And then the doorbell rings and the delivery guy comes in with your special order that you don't want to go from a shopping center, and all of a sudden the dog goes nuts because somebody triggered the whole thing to explode.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
want to
That's
make
a
sure
very
that
good point.
everything that we look for here is not just fun. It's about really taking control on and be conscious about our emotions, be conscious about how we affect our environment. At the same time, we should look from a parenting perspective and see, how do I affect my environment? How do I affect my parents? How do I affect my kids? How do I affect my dog? So this fear anxiety is something that's theoretically an illusion, is because created by me, who I am afraid of something that I perceive as a threat. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, please. So what we see here is, obviously I did the slide very small. We see that some people are need to stay out of work. Some people can take the work into their home. Actually, I will have a good video coming up soon with my wife discussing how two people can work together at the same house, because we're kind of like for the last 3 years working from home together. I'm very involved in online, as so does my wife. And so making sure that we have our course shared with our partners, have everybody on the same page, that because everybody has to be in a very close space. Stress comes in, who's coming first in the bathroom, who feeds the dogs, who cleans the yard. And so we want to make sure that everything is organized. So I know everything usually falls to the one, whoever. I'm not going into any gender specifics, but usually we have one
But
partner
we all
doing,
know.
right? I have clients who are gay couples or lesbian couples or mixed couples or different ethnicity and different religions. They all have to join together and put together a plan and share responsibilities. Okay, and it's not just taking responsibility, it's just feeling the need to take over that responsibility and take away some things that are easier for me to do and difficult for my partner. That includes the kids. And especially now that we are stressed and we don't everybody to function correctly, we want to make sure that we deliver the message nicely with a parenting perspective, with an authoritative perspective and not authoritarian perspective. Don't have your kid clean the yard because I said so. Let's have the kids, hey, how about we clean up the poop bombs from the yard so we're not stepping on any grenades? Haha, fun. Okay, let's clean it up.
You can have a poop pickup party.
Exactly, right? With masks. Making sure nobody touches the poop. And then bring the dogs into the equation, because dogs are very emotional, intelligent beings. They can separate a prey from a predator over distance. They can feel if there's a threat coming. That's why they grew up with us for science says over 45,000 years. Dogs are with us in a close environment, behaving like real family members. And so therefore we take advantage of their emotions, but now we have to remember that they will sponge that emotion. Fear causes the dog to be protective. Anxiety causes the dog to be anxious. And so all these things that affect our dogs, which is the whole spectrum of our human emotions, are also affecting our dog's emotions. And so the dog doesn't have an understanding because he has still a mind of a 5-year-old. He doesn't understand that our fear is not directed to a person. It's not directed to a pet. It's not directed to the door. It's not directed for somebody who's out there passing the yard. And the dog just takes that because something has to be done about that scary thing that's out there going to kill us. And so that's why it's very important, especially people who have small kids, who have small pets or small and big pets, or have multiple pet homes, that we recognize when the stress comes in and then start removing the dog who is extremely stressed from the equation, make everybody safe. You have to look at safety right now. It is about how to eliminate stressors as much as possible. And later on in the next slide, we're going to talk about is how to look into creating the dog to our home.
That's okay. We got a little blip here, folks.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Roman is semi-frozen.
No, you're a little bit frozen, Roman. You'll come right back, though.
Yeah. So we want to make sure we have our emotions in check, and we want to make sure that we are looking into checking in the day in the morning. And I usually, what I do, I take 5 minutes in the morning of my day. I discuss my wife, we discuss our schedule, we discuss which one does what, and then we kind of put our intentions. Today, my goal, it takes a lot of stress. So my goal today was to be with you guys on the show, and I planned accordingly. I got
Thank you to your wife.
Yeah.
We really appreciate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there you go. Should we go to the next slide?
I agree with you that the idea of working from home and say, okay, I don't have a schedule, I can do what I want, will lead to a waste of time and frustration. And my experience is, like you say, is to plan the day and take the schedule, create a schedule, and go with that schedule. Otherwise, it would be a big waste of time and big frustration because nothing is coordinated and nothing is planned. And it's just go by the flow. It's not going to be helpful for anybody. And
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So our dogs see us as creators. We create food, we create safety, we create a good environment, we create a comfort in our house. So we are creators. So if we don't create our plan and we don't create our intentions and put them together, how will the universe start offering us solutions and opportunities?
Mhm.
So starting from there, it says, let's plan our day and let's start with how do we keep everybody happy? So I suggest also for myself to look up into our cabinets and see what do we have available for the dog. So I was thinking as a person, if I would, if I
Cookie,
invade your
cookie, cookie,
so if I would go in a
bacon.
person's house, what I would likely find that I can use for a dog. Everybody has coffee, okay, or tea.
Mhm.
Great. Usually we have also chamomile. Perfect. Chamomile is an awesome remedy. We call it also Roman chamomile because these smart guys back then in time knew chamomile is kind of like a very healthy herbal that basically cannot do anything wrong with it. So what I do with my dogs when I'm out of anything, I take a chamomile bag, put it in a coffee pot or a pod, warm it up, and then cool it down, and then serve it to my dogs as additional drink. Okay, tastes good, no big deal. You can add some extra Hanukkah honey on top of it and make it super yummy. Yes, you can also put some chicken broth in it. Don't drink it; it's just for the dogs. Drink out of it. So the calming remedy regulates basically. I don't want to go into alchemist details, but it's calming and soothing, and you can also use it to sleep better. So one thing we can use easily is have everybody chill out. Get your tea in the evening, not a big thing. Chamomile tea doesn't really do any harm to. So we can look into how do you guys like the dog with this chamomile feel? Perfect, right? So next thing that
Yeah,
comes
right.
into
Yeah,
my
you know, a lot of people have been asking about C. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Ooh, I was going to say a lot of people have been asking about CBD.
Right.
So
I
this
can
is good.
explain to you. I personally like tinctures. We have to see tinctures as energetic essence of our plant kingdom. Just like pets, just like animals, just like dogs, plants have their own energy, and they transmute earth energy and air energy into their plants, and they're offering it to us. They're offering if we also deliver it in a safe way. So there's a lot of things going on out there to the point that FDA had to intervene and kind of cut some wings off because people got crazy about it. CBD is a description of ingredients in quality of the tincture, anything out of the bottle. So you have to look a little bit deeper. Without going deep, did work and put together my wife and I a document on my website and describes exactly what to look when you're buying of dollars because my wife has an immune issues and my dogs have issues, and so I wanted to find a remedy that I would be able to recommend to my clients as well. And so I went through this process, educate myself, ask questions, dig deeper, and find what CBD would I take for myself that works for me and works for my dogs. I don't want all these bottles hanging around and try to remember which one is what. I wanted to find a remedy that helps me as much as the dogs. Quality, purity, potency, and end results. But you can check it out on my website at some point. Now, the other thing that I really love with Bach's Remedy, I feel Bach's remedies are simply nature down to science thing in a small bottle. Now, you can find Bach's Remedy usually everywhere that is health stores. I don't want any big names, but super healthy stores usually have those brands in the shelf. What you
Mhm.
want to look for, pets, is that has the paw on it, as the picture shows. If you can scroll in a little bit, it has to have the paw on it because the paw indicates that it's not alcohol based. Okay, so
Right
some
here.
tinctures are alcohol based, and this one is not alcohol based. That's what you want to do for your pet because alcohol is not healthy for dogs. Um, it doesn't kill your dog in that percentage it's in because it's just a tincture, but we don't want to take any risks. So use that pet remedy for your pets. Usually you'd start with 1 or 2 drops, just like with the CBD or tinctures. It's microdosing. We start with microdosing. We just don't squeeze the whole thing just because it's cute, right? Or because it tastes good. And we don't go by size, because the animals have their own regulatory system, especially the cannabinoid system. And I don't want to be smart here, but just the tincture is just a supplement. How much do I need to add to reach what my dogs feel good about it? So it's not about the volume, it's about how much does my dog really need. So I'll go slowly up and up and up, 1 drop and more, 1 drop more, 1 a day, until I see, oh, okay, now my dog is not panting anymore. I'll hold it there and see how that goes. You want to add another drop or 2 later throughout the day, see how that goes. And then if that's too much, then you go back to normal. Sometimes it can also self-regulate itself. Then you need less over time. But it really depends on your dog.
I have
So
a
next
question.
slide, please. Any questions to that?
Yeah. About tincture, just a question of clarification. Between allopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, where the tincture fit in the spectrum, is that a dilution of a product or herb, medicinal herb, or
tincture,
what is the nature of that?
When I say tincture, I would say everything that is derived from something else, and it's just the essence of it. It could be homeopathic. It could be just the essence out of it, like an aromatherapy. These are all tinctures on my side. We can call it aromatherapy separate. It will take us a whole session to kind of talk about it, what exactly the differences is.
But you make clarification. I appreciate the clarification. That's put the context around it. I understand.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So now we're going to be reducing boredom. Yay. So, and isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Because people, their dog is right there and they're sitting watching TV and they're petting the dog where they could be interacting. So this is a good thing. So let's go into that, Roman. Oops, he froze.
Okay. So what I see with the dogs that boredom gets them in trouble. Boredom gets them to chew stuff, lets them to dig stuff, gets them to check stuff because they have nothing else to do. So a boredom is basically lack of work, lack of exercise, lack of a clear job description. So we want to clear out here is that we need to give the dog a job, and a right job for the dog would be appropriate for the breed. So usually category dog who are likely to disengage from people, which we call hunting dogs, and other species dogs who are more likely to stay with the owner. We call these guarding dogs or guard dogs, herding dogs. So we have to clarify that 2 types of dogs likely want to stay away from the owner, which we play fetching and chasing and hiding, and then we want to play other games with dogs want to be with the owner, which is obedience and some tug of war exercise or in personal interactive games with the dogs. Different sizes of dogs. We have young dogs, we have elder dogs, we have very energetic dogs, we have very calm potatoes. We have rocket scientists running through the house. We want to make sure that we satisfy each individual breed and each individual breed trait. So a breed trait could be a dog being very structured. A breed trait could be a dog being very observant on gestures. And another breed trait could be being very guarding and protective. So if you have multiple dogs in your house, one will be kind of a couch potato, the other one is a guard dog, and the other one is a go crazy dog. Then all of a sudden we see that we are stressed. We want to calm down and take our healer on our bed. And that healer eventually starts getting protective over the other dogs, thinking that the other dogs causes us anxiety. That can cause disputes. Meaning is the dog who's supposed to suddenly becomes protective of us, petting exactly that we try to avoid. And another dog comes up to the equation too. And all of a sudden we have a dog fight and we don't know what happened. It happened that one dog took the job on that we didn't describe, and he perceived that that is the right thing to do, which I get rewarded by being petted, right? and all of a sudden we get something that we actually don't want. So we want to make sure that all the individual dogs have set clear boundaries, clear limitations, be obedient. In between, if you want to pet another dog, a whole new concept to discuss, like treating multiple dogs in a home. But I want to go down to the next slide, please. I'm going to check out what can we do to help that. So it's not my
Mental
idea,
stimulation.
yeah, you can read it out loud, please. You're better on reading.
Mental stimulation is essential when your dog is a high energy puppy or a laid back older dog. The best part is canine enrichment doesn't need to be expensive or hard to organize. You can use items in your home to create an arsenal of enrichment toys and games. Very good. Well, that's self-explanatory, right?
No, but
Oh, it's not.
so let's
That's what I'm trying to do here. Whoops. Okay.
Yay.
Okay, we can identify 6 categories of enrichment. Behavioral enrichment. What?
Yeah, Garen can read out too if you want.
Okay, behavioral enrichment, also referred to as environmental enrichment, is an animal husbandry principle that seeks to enhance the quality of captive animal care by identifying and providing the environmental stimuli necessary for optimal psychological and physiological well-being. That's it. Roman?
We lost Roman.
It's know very good that dogs, animals in captivity, if they're not enriched, they can go stir crazy. They start showing aggressive behaviors. So the reason why I use that particular statement is because we have our pets confined. They don't have free access to play game. They don't have free access. We can.
Boy, you're really cutting out, Roman.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
So just get in a very close confined place, and sometimes
Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide. We're losing you, Roman.
You know, if your dog is overweight,
let me see what's that.
Okay.
I was about to say, if your dog is overweight, it's because you don't do enough exercise yourself. Yes.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah, you keep you keep freezing, and then we're losing you. So your Wi-Fi connection must be weak right now.
Okay, good. So social enrichment. Now here's the tricky part. I know that many people say, "Well, dude, I am social confinement. Why are you talking about social enrichment?" Well, here's where the social enrichment comes from. This is an emotional need of a dog. A need to function better in his environment is to be social. Having a dog is already a social interaction. You and your dog are doing things. For example, you can do obedience. You and your dog are socially engaging with each other. You can play hide and seek. That's a social interaction. Go find me. Let's make an appointment. Let's see you later, right? We can start using obedience to sit and stay and wait there until I call you, and you disappear in the kitchen, surprising him with a treat and give him a free command for your dog to follow that instruction. So you can do obedience while being social and being a social enrichment. Okay. Now, simple thing that I would teach people to do is hide and seek. Go hide yourself, and then call your dog. Try the dog to find you. Okay, you will see how quickly the dog can find you, even if you're hiding good. Obedience training, sit and stay on their bed, and then you show them distance, and then you disappear behind the wall, and then release the dog to find things. That's, for example, social enrichment. But also you can play with multiple dogs. Interact with both dogs. Have both dogs sit and stay, and reward both dogs for being obedient. Have both dogs sit and stay in the bed, and then both dogs come up to you for enrichment. Okay? So next thing we can look for is cognitive enrichment. Let me think about that.
Keep their minds active. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So cognitive enrichment is challenging the dog to think. Dogs are usually animals that act out of their automatic responses. If you knock against the door, somebody will bark. He didn't have time to think. He automatically responds. That makes him quick and fast. It's kind of like being a karate kid or an athlete, that you hear that noise and you know when to run. You don't think about it. Your body responds to that.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to use cognitive enrichment is to help the dogs think before they act, think the process, understand the strategy, try to predict the trajectory of your tennis ball, and not just run until they hit the wall because they didn't see the wall, because they didn't think about it. So cognitive enrichment could be interactive with your kid and your dog, teaching the dog what is the red ball and what's the green ball. And if I say, get the red ball, you're going to pay for the red ball. And if you don't get paid for the green ball because I didn't ask for it, if I ask you to sit, I don't just move my hands. I just tell you to sit and try to understand what exactly I mean with it. I teach the dog that which directions will I move and throw the ball if I move my leg to the left? Which direction will I throw the ball if I move my other leg to the right? So the dog start being predictive and like, oh, okay, he's going to move there. He's going to toss over here. He's going to move his leg over there. He's going to toss. That is thinking, right? And so we can do these simple things that cost you a penny at all. You have your shoes, you have your legs, you have a toy of the dog, and you have the dog try to figure out what you're going to do next. That's cognitive enrichment. Okay, don't ask your dog questions because likely you're not getting any answer. And don't ask him if he wants more food because he always will say yes.
In any language.
Yeah, right. And then there's emotional
enrichment.
Yay.
Dogs read body language. If I'm stressed, the dog can see that stress expression.
Yeah.
If I have a happy face, the dog will see my happy face.
Yeah.
If I have the angry face, my dog recognizes that he's really pissed about me. So we want to make sure that we give the dog this emotional enrichment and tell him what we're happy about and what we're not so happy about.
Yeah.
So how about you sit? Perfect. I love it. Thank you for petting and treats and emotions and feedback, and give that dog that volume of emotions, because dogs are emotionally intelligent. They can pretty much have all the emotions that a 5-year-old has.
Yeah.
And even if you put your dog in a crate, he thinks you put him in there because you don't love him anymore. Right? And you're like, oh my God, I feel so guilty. And he's like, why do you take me out if you feel so guilty about me? That's what I mean. So we want to be honest about our emotions, and we want to be clear about our emotions so the dog doesn't misinterpret our emotions. So we have to teach them how emotions feel like. Thank you for sitting. Love you. Come over here, get some petting. Now go back to your bed. We want to finish our job. So try to create emotional switches. Happy, not happy. Super happy, not so much happy. And you can also use the rewards as sliding scale payment. That is a good thing to do. Yeah. Oh, I love your thing. Oh, perfect. That gives you an extra treat. So sliding scales is what to look for here. Teach your kids how to show emotions to the dog. On another point, I want to warn people that when dogs show emotions, people correct emotions. If a dog barks, we tell him no. If the dog growls, we tell him stop being aggressive. But these are expressions of the dogs, just like we have if somebody tries to get our coffee away from a breakfast desk, right? So we want to make sure that we reward emotions. We want to encourage the dog to show how he feels so we can proactively adjust things, right? So in the next slide, of course, guys always have a question, right? Physical enrichment. And I know you guys, I live in a 30-foot RV. Mm-hmm. Looks like this. And our space is limited. And in that limited space, I have to create a lot of physical enrichment as possible. So I created a small mini yard. Here it is. It looks like this. Mm-hmm. And in that mini yard, I have toys. I have some balls for my dogs to play with. I have a small bed outside. And then inside of our room, I have basically, let's say, 15-foot range where I can play with the small dogs and I'll play with the big dogs outside. So I'm sure at some point, move some furniture on the side, make some room for the dogs, and start making interactive games. Now here we have some small issues. We want to make sure that big dogs are not hurting themselves on a slippery floor. We want to use a carpet. So if you have a carpet somewhere, bring it in the living room, spread it out, make sure we have a good grip on the dog, and we don't want to have him any injury of fetching and running. If we have small dogs, we want to make sure that they have a room to run through it and they don't need to hide under the table. So you can create, some of you guys usually have one of those um, channels where the dogs can go through the tunnels, and some people don't have those. So what I would do is take some old chairs that you have, a chair, a folding chair, put it together, make a tunnel out of it, put them one behind the other, throw an old towel or a bed sheet over it, make it a tunnel. Go on the other side, like, come on guy, how about you come on through it? And boop, the dog comes through it. And so you have a game going on. And then you can play the king of the hill, for example, for smaller dogs. On the couch, off the couch, on the bed, off the bed, on the chair, off the chair, and do these kind of games and start making obedience out of it. Now, for younger puppies, I would not recommend that off and on because they shouldn't jump at all. So don't have them run up and down the staircase. That's not a good idea. But you can have them go to place, on the place, off the place, on the small pillow, off the small pillow, kind of things. Make sense? And
Yeah.
some other enrichment that you can do is you can use heel obedience, like teaching the dog to walk on a leash. You can do it in a yard. Even if it's a small yard, maybe 20 by 30, you can start doing obedience class there where the dog has to do a physical performance, being in tune with what you do and what the dog does in synchronicity, which is an emotional enrichment, which is intellectual enrichment and a physical enrichment on one shot. So my suggestion here basically cover all the phasma of enrichment on one game. Tug of war is self-control. Tug of war is physical enrichment. Tug of war is cognitive enrichment. Tug of war is social enrichment, all in one game. And I know some people will say, well, tug of war makes my dog aggressive. No, it doesn't. If it's a game and it's not just a fight about it's my slipper, no, it's my slipper, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you feel that one of those enrichment choices triggers your dog to be protective, reactive, or aggressive in any means, stop it. Don't do it. Call for help. You even call me, or you call your trainer, you call any professional nowadays. I'm personally offer service online. I can help people online to get handle on these kind of situations. But a lot of colleagues out there already offer similar services. So reach out for help. Don't try to fix it yourself. It's not a good time. The last thing you want is having a dog fight in your house, and then you have to leave going to social places you try to avoid.
Right.
Okay. So sensory enrichment. I know you guys love music. We know dogs that love singing, love dogs who like reading. And I was happy to see, I was in a shelter a couple of days ago here in Oregon, and there was a child in a room reading an old dog who was sick out of a book. I got very weepy about it. I was like, oh my God, he's reading a dog a book. And then
Yeah, well,
questions, is the child sick? And she says, no, the dog is sick. And this child volunteered on his free time because they have the same illness. They have both cancer. So the child who had cancer went to a dog who has cancer to read him a book. Okay. That's love right there. Sorry, I got weepy. Okay. Sensory enrichment is everything that is sensory to a dog. Smelling, touching, tasting, hearing, seeing, all these things are part of how the dog senses his environment. So we want to give different options and versions of these shifting things. Is it me?
I don't
no,
know.
that's me.
Oh, okay. So we want to give the dog that enrichment. We can have different balls to play. We can have different textures, like have the carpet, then play a little bit off the carpet. If you have a yard, play in the yard. Then on the concrete, try to give different sensory on the legs. Have the dog touch things. Some people have these old ringing bells. Hang it up. Make the dog paw it. Make the dog be in control of his sensory enrichments. You can groom your dog. Be careful. Some dogs are very sensitive when you groom them too hard. You can do nail clipping, for example, you're good at that. You can groom your dog, clip his nails, clean his ears, let the dog feel things in general. Petting is a sensory enrichment. Too much petting is not good. Too much grooming is not good. Too much sensory in a dog who is already sensory sensitive is not good. Dogs who have allergies, for example, are sensitive to too much enrichment. Dogs who have an ear infection are sensitive to noises. Okay, dogs who have allergies on their paws would not likely to go outside. So you can also averse things if you're not paying attention to those small details. So if you have any questions, you don't hesitate to ask, and post in the comments, and I'm happy to answer those. So visual enrichment, for example, is one I mentioned before, which is a separate part as well, because dogs perceive their environment in a completely better and different quality than we do. We basically see blurry environment and focus center. Okay, that's for us to orient ourselves. And you can do a test. Look at the newspaper, look at the word, and see if you can recognize what words are surrounding it. You can't, because you only read one particular word. A dog will see everything perfect in a quality that he perceives as necessary to orient himself and be aware of anything that moves that can save his life or can kill his life. So that's why dogs are very sensitive on movement. So hunting dogs, for example, are sensitive, and sight dogs are sensitive to sight. So anything moves got his attention. Well, that is a good enrichment. For example, throwing a ball. The dog predicts the trajectory of that ball. He will be there in time to fetch that ball. You can change colors. Use the green ball, the red ball, the blue ball, different balls, so the dog has a different sensory. And I know for some people say like, well, let dogs just be dogs. That's an old thinking. Today we know that dogs are very rich. They have preferences. I had a dog that I worked with in the past with preferences of coats. He didn't like a particular one that was yellow. He preferred one who was green. Okay. So food and feeding enrichment. Definitely that's a thing that you do every day, at least twice a day for the dog's lifetime. That's one of my favorite enrichments, because I like to take my wife out for dinner and for lunch, and I bring breakfast to bed. I know I'm one of those guys, but we have our personal relationship with our dog. The dog is giving her life for us. So why don't we make his dinner and feeding time a pleasure? Okay, we can offer the dogs a ball and not just put kibbles in it. And I know some people says, well, I'm not feeding raw, I feed on kibbles. That's fine. But how about decorating it? How about giving the dog a choice? A little bit of yogurt, a little bit of honey, maybe some carrots, and how about leftovers of chicken from yesterday? And your dog is like, oh my God, what's that? I love it.
Yeah.
Now, next time he's going to have dinner or breakfast, he's going to think himself, what are you going to have tomorrow? And that's already enrichment. Thinking for tomorrow is already something the dog is looking forward to and makes the dog more happy. Make sense?
It does.
So we can see that simply food can make so much big difference to a dog. We can use food to create a better bond. We can use food to help the dog getting healthier. Add some additional vitamins on top of it. So healthy toppers, always check in that whatever you want to choose from is appropriate for dogs. So make the best out of it. And maybe you want to read a little bit here.
It says,
so
well,
not everybody hears my voice.
Physical activity is important for overall dog wellness. Activities such as dog sports and playing games with your dog are also fantastic for mental enrichment. During this time, you and your dog will bond. Play increases communication and builds a deeper bond between you. So pick games you both enjoy playing and spend a few minutes each day engaging in play activity. Be a good pet parent and trainer to your dog has to do with recognizing your dog's biological needs. If you apply these few enrichment options, your quarantined home environment and daily routine are meeting your dog's biological needs. Okay,
exactly.
that's Roman.
Yay.
Okay,
so
leave that up.
That dog in particular is fun because that dog didn't have enrichment in his house. So every time his owner came home, that dog wanted interaction. What he did, he was biting the person. He was trying to trigger the person to do something. And what the person did every time the dog beat her, he started yelling at the dog, giving him instructions, do this and do that, and you hurt me. But that was already a reward. So the dog saw that as an interaction. And it's like, oh, I want more of this. But the more I bite you, the more you do things with me.
Yeah.
Go kill him. And so they put the dog on drugs.
Oh,
They
man.
put the dog on sedative. So when the person would come home, the dog would not bite him. So I went there for a visit and I did the assessment over there. And I told him, you know what? I think your dog needs you. He needs you in person. And I would say, how about you spend some time with your dog? 10 minutes, 100% is better than 100 minutes, 1%.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can do that. And he's a musician. I says, how about you have your dog and ask him, what music do you want me to play?
Right.
And then you can play that music, and the dog walks away when you want to change the channel and play something different, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
we were able to turn that around for this person and have the dog being happy with him and get him off sedative. He got a second dog, by the way, later.
yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that I do with my Charlie, which I really enjoy doing, is I talk to him like he's a human, and I wait for an answer. And when he doesn't answer, I pretend like I know what he said, you know. So I'll interact. And when people come over, they laugh. But I find myself doing that more now because they'll say, "So what? I'm sorry, Charlie. What was it you were saying? Oh, you said you wanted to go out. Okay, I got you. Did you want to go out right now?" Right now, is that what it is? Oh, well, tell mommy, do you want to go? And then he'll and then he like answers me with whatever I'm saying to him, but I don't talk to him like, oh, you're so cute, you're such a good baby boy. I don't do that.
This is a great thing that I can share with you from my experience. I'm also an energy healer, and my wife as well. We do a lot of intuitive work. So one thing that I perceived, and it was, I kind of share the story if I have time, it's kind of interesting. I was called in by an elder lady where her dog is depressed and he wouldn't do anything. And I went to that house and she had two dogs. The one was happy, stepping on his back legs and doing like the dance we see on these, you know, viral videos. That was kind of the dog he did. And then the other dog was just happy wagging his tail. And I was like, okay, so where's the depressed dog? She said, like in front of you. And I see a dog dancing. I was like,
yeah, that's depressed.
okay.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my first sessions where I basically start tapping into what you're calling, I was waiting for the answer.
Yeah.
So in imaginary, I was looking at the dog and I was like, what's going on here? And the dog turned and looked at the chimney, at the fireplace. And I was like, oh, that was my imagination. I was like, what do you mean? What's going on here? And he turned again back and looked at the fireplace. So I look at the fireplace. There were a lot of pictures on the top. I was like, that's interesting. And I said, who are these people on these pictures? He said, oh, that's my son. Oh, I said, that's great. And I saw him being a pilot, like a chopper pilot. And he's like, oh, cool. He's a pilot. She says, well, he died.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What happened? He says, well, you know, he was on a mission and he was a nurse on a helicopter, and the helicopter crashed, and that's his dog. And the dog was dancing. And all of a sudden, it kind of like, wow. So that dog told me what it is about here. Because she didn't tell me it's not her dog. She told me her dog has a problem.
Yeah, right.
And then I said to the dog, now who do you want me to work with? And he turned and looked at her. And I was like, am I speaking to a ghost
well, they
here?
understand. They sure do. Yeah.
They are emotional. They telecommunicate. And that particular dog was very smart about it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, does she need help? And he sat down. I was like, okay, can I help her? And he walked away. Okay, I got a big picture. So I cannot help her. Why am I here? And he looked at her. I was like, great. I guess I have to tell her. I says, here's what we do. I don't feel your dog has depression. I don't feel your dog is anything wrong with it. I feel your dog is just showing you how you feel. And she burst out crying. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I lost my child, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
the sad story. And I really empathized with her. I says, really, I cannot help you. Do you see anyone that can help
Yeah.
you? She says, no, I haven't been out since my son died. It was a year ago. And I said, you need emotional support. You need help. You need to speak to somebody that is specialized with people, not with dogs. I can help your dog, but it doesn't need any help. I feel you need more help than your dog.
Right.
Well, she didn't call me. However, I heard later from a friend of mine, because I recommended her, that she contacted that person and they started doing sessions, and she got feel better about it, talking to somebody who lost his child as well. So this is what
Yeah.
dogs do.
Yeah. Well, Roman, I want to thank you so much, Gaetan and I do, thank you
Yeah.
for being on the show. And it was an excellent presentation. We look forward to having you on many, 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 many more shows. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Gaetan. Well, we've had a lot going on, and we want to share with everyone what is happening now. We have our first. Oh, you got to say something. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Nothing's going on.
Nothing.
Well, here's the situation. Because of the COVID-19, it's impossible to go and film. I was supposed to film with a canine unit. Cannot do it. I was planning to go to a shelter and film there. I'm still trying to get access, but everything in Illinois right now is shut down. Restaurant, bar, shopping mall, store, everything is shut down. The only thing open is a supermarket, pharmacy, and medical facility. So I was trying to do the productions. We kind of get on the wrong, in a strange position there. We cannot go out and film. The only thing I can film maybe is the neighbor walking with their dogs, and there's plenty of dogs. I think every neighbor I have,
Yeah.
I have at least one dog, sometimes two. So maybe I'll set my camera on the sidewalk and let the dog pass by with their owner and take a
Yeah.
chat and see what's going on there. But
Yeah.
we have a future, and we don't know when, but when the situation normalize again, then we have a number of project and
Right.
production to carry on. And you, Kathy, can
Yeah.
you share with us?
So we're going to be postponing the Empathy for Dogs show. If you remember, we told you that, well, maybe you don't if you're just listening now. We had a shop that we were putting up, and we decided not to go with any of the vendors in China at that time because the distribution was and the shipping was taking so long. Now with the coronavirus, it's a global thing. So everybody is having major delays, and some of them are stopping shipping altogether. So it makes no sense to use the shop as the opening for the show. So we're rethinking how we're going to do this and if we want to go ahead with it or not. But the good news is this: through this coronavirus, we've all come together, and now today we are launching our first sponsored show, the Pet Notify show. Now, Pet Notify has an app that we absolutely love, and it's perfect for people that are concerned about the coronavirus. Now, we're not playing on that at all, but what I'm saying is that it fits, and you'll be hearing it in the next show, which is going to be at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That'll be the next show afterwards. But what I wanted to show you is what people get, what Pet Notify gets from us by doing a show that is produced by the Dog Connection TV. They receive a seal of approval that is approved by me, who I'm a dog influencer, and then it is recommended by the Dog Connection TV. So this is a seal that they can put on their website, they can put on their Facebook pages, they can put on their banners and everything, because now we will recommend this product for people to use. And what do we do? Do we do diligence? Of course we do. We look to make certain that these products and services are ones that will not only benefit you, but benefit your dogs. And this particular product is for both. It's for the dog and it's for the for the owner. So you see Taylor coming on in just a little while, and I think it's going to be a really, really wonderful, wonderful show. So that's our first one. In addition to that, what's happened is people have now contacted us and they're recommending the Dog Connection TV to help pet businesses that have closed or they're going to be closing, and they now need to go online. So if you know any pet businesses or you are one and you do want to make that transition, we can help you with that. We can help you by producing a show that would be your own live show, be produced by the Dog Connection TV. So just let us know if that's something that is of interest to you. Okay?
Absolutely.
And Gaetan's smiling. I can tell he's thinking I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, hey, wait a minute. Somebody's saying, oh, good morning, Dale. You were late. You're late, Dale.
You were slipping again?
Yeah. Were you sleep? He was probably sleeping. Yeah, he woke up late. This is the very, very end.
Yes.
So, do you got anything else to say, Gaetan, before we say?
We'll come up with some surprise for next week. I will try to make it funny.
Okay. All right. That sounds
some light
good.
moment with Doug from our past 9 months.
Oh, the other thing, weren't you going to say, Gaetan, that about we're going to do more shows during this time while we're shut in?
Okay, I will say it since you. There's Kathy and I were thinking to make more than once a week show, and it will be all matter of content, and we are start to look at providing content for more than one show a week. Maybe we'll have one show, which is the Thursday show, in the same format, and having a different format for the Tuesday show, for instance. So this is something we're cooking right now, and we're planning that. So in the near future, you might see a lot of us.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have an advice to a dog owner, by the way. I try to push it in the conversation between in the blackout of Roman, but I'll repeat it. If you have a dog which is obese, you're not doing enough exercise.
Because you're probably obese too. Yeah. Well, okay. Case in point, my Charlie's fat.
Kathy, what are you doing?
But he's also almost 14 years old, so he doesn't get a lot of exercise like he has in the past.
Check the diet.
Yeah.
If you're eating your food, that's bad.
Hey, wait a minute. Now, Roman said that that's a ritual that we have for people. That, wait a minute, I got to bring Roman back in. He's right here. I got to bring you in. Roman, tell me on this one. There's a pattern that occurs. You have your dog, and the dog is sitting there looking at you. I'm not saying begging, because if I tell Charlie, don't beg, to looks this way, but he still looks through the corner of his eye because he wants to be able to see me. And he will look, and I'll say, okay, one for mommy, and one for you, and one for mommy, and maybe two for mommy, one for you, maybe three for mommy. One for you. That's okay, isn't it?
Well, if you want to gain weight, yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm not fat. And he's not really.
No, I'm just saying, some people want to gain weight, right? Like healthy weight.
What woman do you know wants to gain weight? I don't know anyone,
right?
No.
But I had a woman says, can I be a little bit heavier because my dog is pulling me all over the place? I mean, you don't want to be an anchor either.
Yeah. Well, my dog is only 19 pounds. So he doesn't pull me anywhere.
I feel a good way to help dog lose weight is making healthy food choices. That's a whole chapter. Okay?
Yeah, that's
even
a different show altogether.
About what's healthy for dogs.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right, everyone. With that, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone.
Roman is on my side now.
Yeah, I know. I got you. You guys are bonding. I see that. Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait until your wife comes on, when Barbara comes on, and we'll be able to bond. Wait, I see we got a comment here. What? Hold on here. What is? What's this comment?
Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Dale.
Yeah, Dale. He says, and she calls Charlie fat.
Now we know. We have a witness,
Oh.
Your Honor.
Hey, listen, I told Dale at one time, just a couple of weeks ago, I said, what a woman wants to hear more than anything else is, hey, did you lose weight? You're looking good.
Hey, Kathy, you're looking good.
It shows. It shows. So now every day Dale says to me, have you lost weight? It shows. And he just writes, Kathy has lost weight, and it shows. Oh gosh. All right.
Good for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
I said I
that's
wasn't gonna laugh today, but I did.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good finish point.
Yeah, right. Okay, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you
Thanks
so much,
for
everybody.
watching.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you,
Thanks,
Kathy.
Roman.
Bye-bye.
See you
Okay,
soon.
bye-bye.